John Michael Ozzy Osbourne was born on December 3, 1948 in Aston, Birmingham, England, into a working-class family that struggled financially. His father, Jack, worked as a toolmaker, while his mother, Lillian, was employed at a factory. Growing up in a modest home with 5 siblings, Ozzy faced several hardships that would shape both his resilience and his artistic identity. He struggled academically and dealt with dyslexia and other learning difficulties. Despite these obstacles, he found early inspiration in the Beatles, especially after hearing their song, "She Loves You." It was a pivotal moment for young Ozzy, awakening a deep passion for music that would later define his life. Ozzy's school years were turbulent. He left school at the age of 15 and began working a series of menial jobs, including plumbing apprentice, construction worker, and slaughterhouse worker. However, his heart remained in music. After a brief stint in prison for burglary, Osbourne decided to change the course of his life. Determined to succeed, he formed his first band, Rare Breed, in 1967 with bassist Geezer Butler. Although the group quickly disbanded, it served as the beginning of what would become one of the most legendary careers in rock history. In 1968, Osbourne, Butler, guitarist Tony Iommi, and drummer Bill Ward came together to form a new band. Initially performing under names such as Polka Tulk Blues Band and Earth, they eventually rebranded as Black Sabbath, inspired by a horror film of the same name. The band set out to create music that was darker and more ominous than anything heard at the time, setting themselves apart from the flower power psychedelic wave of the late 1960s. This decision gave birth to a new genre, heavy metal, with Black Sabbath at the forefront. Black Sabbath's self-titled debut album was released in 1970 and was a groundbreaking success. With haunting riffs, doom-laden lyrics, and Osbourne's eerie, nasally vocals, the band introduced a sound that was both terrifying and thrilling. The follow-up albums Paranoid (1970), Master of Reality (1971), and Volber 4 (1972) catapulted the band to global fame. Songs like Iron Man, War Pigs, and Paranoid became anthems of a disillusioned generation, cementing Osbourne's role as a provocative and iconic frontman. Despite their rising fame, internal tensions began to emerge within the band, largely due to substance abuse issues and creative differences. Ozzy, in particular, developed a notorious reputation for his drug and alcohol use, which increasingly strained his relationships with the other band members. By the late 1970s, Osbourne's behavior had become erratic, and he was eventually fired from Black Sabbath in 1979. This dismissal marked the end of his early career, but not the end of his musical journey. In many ways, it was only the beginning of a new chapter that would see Ozzy Osbourne transform from a heavy metal pioneer into a solo megastar, and ultimately, a global cultural icon. From the tough streets of Birmingham to the world's biggest stages, Ozzy's early years reveal a story of resilience, innovation, and raw talent. His unique voice, theatricality, and willingness to challenge norms laid the foundation for a legacy that continues to influence musicians and fans alike. Though controversy and chaos followed him throughout his life, there's no denying that Ozzy Osbourne's rise from obscurity to stardom was as compelling and defiant as the music he helped create. After parting ways with Black Sabbath in 1979, Ozzy Osbourne embarked on a solo journey that would not only revive his career but ultimately cement his legacy as one of heavy metal's most iconic frontmen. The 1980s marked a remarkable turning point in Ozzy's life, both musically and culturally, and this decade is widely regarded as the peak of his career. The Blizzard of Oz and solo ascent. In 1980, Ozzy released his debut solo album, Blizzard of Oz, an album that proved he could thrive independently from Black Sabbath. The album was a commercial and critical triumph, featuring hits such as Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley. Ozzy's collaboration with virtuoso guitarist Randy Rhoads was a significant factor in the album's success. Rhoads' neoclassical guitar style brought a fresh and electrifying edge to Osbourne's music, and their creative chemistry was undeniable. Following the success of Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy released Diary of a Madman in 1981, further solidifying his place as a solo rock force. However, tragedy struck in 1982 when Randy Rhoads died in a plane crash while on tour. The loss was devastating for Ozzy both personally and professionally. Yet, he managed to continue, turning his grief into fuel for his music. An icon of shock rock, throughout the 80s, Ozzy cultivated a persona that was equal parts theatrical and controversial. Known as the Prince of Darkness, he leaned into his macabre image with gothic stage shows and dark lyrical themes. One of the most infamous moments of his career, biting the head off a bat during a concert in 1982, became a lasting symbol of his outrageous antics and rebellious spirit. Though unintentional, the incident cemented Ozzy's image as a shock rocker and attracted both outrage and admiration from the media and fans alike. The rise of the Ozzfest era. As his solo career progressed, Ozzy released several successful albums, including Bark at the Moon, 1983, The Ultimate Sin, 1986, and No Rest for the Wicked, 1988. These records contained hit tracks such as Shot in the Dark, Bark at the Moon, and Miracle Man, showcasing his ability to evolve with the times while maintaining his distinct sound. His voice, though unique and unpolished, became one of the most recognizable in rock history. In the late 80s and early 90s, Ozzy began embracing the next phase of his career by founding Ozzfest with the help of his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne. What started as a way to bring his music to festival crowds turned into one of the most successful touring festivals in metal history. Ozzfest introduced younger audiences to the genre, while also providing a platform for up-and-coming bands. Ozzy's influence expanded beyond his own music, becoming a central figure in the promotion and preservation of heavy metal culture. Awards and industry recognition. Despite his wild image, Ozzy Osbourne's artistry and contributions to music did not go unrecognized. During this peak period, he earned multiple platinum albums and a Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance in 1993 for the song I Don't Want to Change the World. His impact was so significant that even those outside the rock community acknowledged his contributions to the genre. Cultural icon beyond music. By the late 1990s, Ozzy's image transcended music. He became a pop culture figure, known for his eccentricity, humor, and unapologetic nature. Though the 2000s would bring about further fame through reality television, the Osbournes, the 1980s and early 1990s represented the period when Ozzy was at his artistic and musical zenith. As much as Ozzy Osbourne's career has been defined by musical brilliance, it has also been equally shaped by controversy and chaos. His journey through the 1980s and 1990s was marked by a volatile mixture of addiction, erratic behavior, legal troubles, and public backlash that made him both infamous and unforgettable. One of the most notorious incidents that fueled Ozzy's image as the Prince of Darkness occurred in 1982 during a performance in Des Moines, Iowa. In a bizarre and shocking act, Ozzy bit the head off a live bat thrown on stage by a fan, an event that, while later claimed to be a misunderstanding, he thought it was a rubber toy, cemented his legend in rock history. This disturbing stunt sparked outrage from animal rights groups and resulted in a series of rabies shots for Ozzy. His battle with substance abuse during this period also contributed heavily to his erratic public persona. Ozzy was notoriously dependent on alcohol, cocaine, and various prescription drugs, leading to multiple stints in rehabilitation facilities and cancelled tour dates. His addiction strained his relationships with bandmates, management, and his family. In a particularly dark moment in 1989, Ozzy was arrested for attempting to strangle his wife, Sharon Osbourne, while under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Though the charges were later dropped and he sought treatment, the incident was a turning point in his personal life and marriage. Additionally, Ozzy faced numerous lawsuits and public outcries related to his music's alleged influence on teenage suicide. In 1985, the family of a teenager who died by suicide filed a lawsuit claiming that Ozzy's song Suicide Solution had encouraged the act. Although the case was ultimately dismissed, it sparked a nationwide debate about the moral responsibility of artists and the censorship of rock and heavy metal music. Ozzy maintains that the song was actually a warning against alcohol abuse, an ironic message given his own struggles. Throughout the 1990s, his reputation as an unstable figure in rock continued, exacerbated by his outrageous behavior and the controversial antics of his band and fans. His performances were often theatrical and gruesome, with decapitated dolls, blood-soaked costumes, and demonic imagery. While some praised him as a genius of shock rock, others condemned him as a corrupting force on youth culture. Despite all the chaos, Sharon Osbourne remained a key stabilizing figure in Ozzy's life and career. As his manager, she fought hard to preserve his legacy and mitigate the damage of his behavior. Her resilience and commitment to Ozzy not only kept his career afloat during the darkest moments, but also helped steer him toward eventual recovery. These years of crisis and controversy ultimately defined Ozzy as one of the most controversial figures in music history. Yet they also revealed a man deeply flawed and struggling with inner demons, a raw, unfiltered symbol of rock and roll's most extreme excesses. The pain, scandal, and self-destruction that followed him in this era served as the crucible from which he would eventually emerge with greater clarity, purpose, and a renewed commitment to his family and fans. Ozzy Osbourne's comeback, a testament to resilience and reinvention. After decades of battling addiction, controversy, and personal tragedy, Ozzy Osbourne staged one of the most remarkable and inspiring comebacks in rock history, a journey marked not just by survival but by transformation and the unwavering passion that has defined his career for over half a century. Following his ousting from Black Sabbath in 1979 due to substance abuse, Ozzy launched a highly successful solo career, proving that he was far from finished. But the path ahead was anything but smooth. The 1990s and early 2000s brought new challenges, ongoing struggles with addiction, mounting health concerns, and increased public scrutiny, especially following the explosive popularity of The Osbournes, the reality show that offered an unfiltered look at his chaotic family life. While the MTV series made Ozzy a household name far beyond the metal world, it also reinforced an image of frailty and dysfunction that many feared marked the beginning of his decline. But Ozzy Osbourne is not a man who fades quietly. With the unwavering support of his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne, he began rebuilding. Step by step, he committed to sobriety, underwent extensive rehabilitation, and made critical lifestyle changes. This personal transformation reinvigorated his music. His mid-2000s releases, Black Rain, 2007, and Scream 2010, were both commercially successful and marked his return to form, featuring world tours that demonstrated his enduring ability to captivate audiences. Yet the defining moment of his comeback came in 2011 with the long-awaited reunion of Black Sabbath. Reuniting the classic lineup, minus drummer Bill Ward, the band released 13 in 2013, their first studio album together in 35 years. It debuted at #1 in multiple countries and was hailed as a triumphant return to the band's doom-laden roots. The subsequent The End tour became one of the most successful farewell tours in rock history, closing the circle on a legendary chapter in music. But Ozzy's resurgence didn't stop there. In 2020, he released Ordinary Man, a deeply personal and surprisingly eclectic album, featuring collaborations with artists as varied as Elton John, Post Malone, and Slash. It resonated with fans both old and new, and its success affirmed Ozzy's ability to stay relevant across generations. He followed it with Patient Number 9 in 2022, an album that earned him his first Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance, an incredible feat for a man well into his 70s. All this happened amid ongoing health battles. In addition to a Parkinson's disease diagnosis in 2020, Ozzy has undergone multiple surgeries, dealt with spinal issues, and endured significant physical pain. Still, he has never allowed illness to silence his creativity. Though his live performances have slowed, he continues to write, record, and inspire. Ozzy Osbourne's comeback is more than a return to music. It's a defiant stand against time, adversity, and expectation. His journey is one of grit, heart, and reinvention. Once seen only as the wild Prince of Darkness, he has since become a symbol of endurance, vulnerability, and redemption. Ozzy didn't just reclaim his place in music, he redefined what a second act can look like. And in doing so, he proved that legends may fall, but true icons rise again. Ozzy Osbourne's legacy, the immortal echo of a heavy metal pioneer. Ozzy Osbourne's legacy in the world of music is nothing short of monumental. Revered as the godfather of heavy metal, he has left an indelible mark not only on the genre he helped pioneer, but also on the broader spectrum of pop culture. His influence extends across decades, inspiring generations of musicians, pushing the boundaries of sound and performance, and redefining what it means to be a rock icon. One of the most enduring aspects of Ozzy's legacy is his groundbreaking role as the lead vocalist of Black Sabbath. The band's early releases, Black Sabbath 1970, Paranoid 1970, and Master of Reality 1971, are widely regarded as the genesis of heavy metal. With doom-laden riffs, apocalyptic themes, and Ozzy's hauntingly distinct vocals, Black Sabbath carved out a dark and powerful new musical language that would reverberate through the decades. Bands from Metallica and Iron Maiden to Slipknot and Ghost cite Ozzy and Sabbath as fundamental influences. But it wasn't just the music, it was the man himself. Ozzy's larger-than-life persona, infused with chaos, eccentricity, and charisma, redefined the image of the rock frontman. His infamous antics, such as biting the head off a bat, became both legend and cautionary tale, earning him a reputation as rock's wildest showman. And yet, behind the spectacle was an artist of remarkable vulnerability and honesty, qualities that made him both mythical and deeply human in the eyes of his fans. When Ozzy embarked on his solo career, few predicted the heights it would reach. Albums like Blizzard of Ozz and Diary of a Madman not only showcased his enduring vocal power, but also introduced guitar prodigy Randy Rhoads to the world. Their collaboration propelled heavy metal into new territory and proved Ozzy's ability to evolve beyond Sabbath's shadow. His solo success solidified his place as a titan of the genre. In the 2000s, Ozzy did what few rock stars could. He reinvented himself for a new generation. The Osbournes, his reality TV show on MTV, became a cultural phenomenon. It peeled back the curtain on his domestic life, revealing not a demonic figure, but a bemused, loving, and occasionally befuddled father and husband. The show was a game-changer, not only for Ozzy's public image, but for reality television itself, proving that even the darkest legends can have the brightest hearts. Beyond fame and spectacle, Ozzy's legacy also includes a quieter, more meaningful dimension: philanthropy and advocacy. He has supported causes close to his personal battles, including addiction recovery, cancer research, and mental health awareness. His willingness to speak publicly about his struggles with substance abuse and Parkinson's disease has offered hope and solidarity to countless fans facing their own hardships. Recognition for Ozzy's impact has been widespread and well-earned. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Black Sabbath in 2006 and has garnered multiple Grammy Awards over his career. In 2023, he was honored with the Global Icon Award at the MTV Europe Music Awards, just one of many accolades celebrating a career that has endured over 50 years. Ozzy Osbourne is more than a survivor. He is a symbol of rock's undying spirit. His voice, once the harbinger of rebellion, now resonates as a testament to perseverance, transformation, and creative fearlessness. As long as there are power chords, dark lyrics, and fans willing to rage against the norm, the legacy of Ozzy Osbourne will live on. Not merely in the pages of music history, but in the soul of every artist who dares to be loud, strange, and unapologetically real. Ozzy Osbourne's greatest sorrow, a legacy shaped by loss and resilience. Despite the glamour of rock stardom and the legacy Ozzy Osbourne built over decades, his journey has been punctuated by moments of profound sorrow, none more devastating than the personal tragedies that struck at the heart of his family. Among the many trials he endured, perhaps the greatest sorrow of Ozzy's life was the untimely death of his dear friend and bandmate, Randy Rhoads, in 1982, a moment that shattered him both professionally and personally. Rhoads, an extraordinary guitarist who helped define Ozzy's solo sound after his departure from Black Sabbath, was not just a musical partner but a brotherly figure and artistic soulmate. The two had forged a deep bond, with Rhoads playing a key role in lifting Ozzy from the emotional abyss he fell into after being fired from Black Sabbath. Their musical chemistry was electric, and albums like Blizzard of Ozz and Diary of a Madman proved just how vital Rhoads was to Ozzy's renaissance. But the magic was tragically cut short when Rhodes died in a freak airplane accident while on tour. Ozzy was devastated. The news left him inconsolable, and he plunged back into the depths of substance abuse as a coping mechanism. For years, he blamed himself for Randy's death, haunted by what-ifs and the fragility of life. It was a turning point in Ozzy's life, marking a long period of depression and internal conflict that even the support of his wife Sharon could barely ease. Beyond Rhodes' death, Ozzy's family life also brought moments of deep pain. His well-documented battles with addiction often alienated him from those he loved most. He has spoken openly about the guilt he feels for not always being a present father during the height of his drug and alcohol dependency. His strained relationship with some of his children, especially his eldest from his first marriage, continues to weigh on him emotionally. Moreover, the health struggles that emerged later in life added a different dimension to his grief. His diagnosis with Parkinson's disease in 2019 was another cruel blow that forced him to face his mortality more directly than ever before. The once indestructible Prince of Darkness was now physically vulnerable, and the public announcement of his illness brought an outpouring of love, but also a reminder of time's unforgiving nature. Ozzy admitted that facing the limitations brought on by the disease was one of the hardest emotional battles he had ever endured. Perhaps most painful of all has been his fear of becoming a burden to his loved ones, a fear voiced in his interviews and lyrics alike. Even in moments of clarity and sobriety, the shadows of his past decisions lingered, whispering doubts and regrets into an already complex legacy. Despite the public image of eccentricity and chaos, Ozzy has always been a man capable of deep introspection and love, a man broken many times, but never beyond repair. In sum, Ozzy Osbourne's greatest sorrow has not been singular, but a layered accumulation of loss: the death of his dearest friend, the pain of fractured relationships, and the slow fading of his once unshakable physical strength. Yet, in his vulnerability, he continues to inspire, not as a perfect hero, but as a flawed, resilient soul who has faced pain head-on and chosen again and again to keep going.